Welcome, welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. As usual, as soon as we start this program, you can pick up the telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything. Politics, religion, socioeconomic issues, any issue trending, any topical issue of the day. We speak about it. The number to call is 442-0175. And most important, you have the opportunity to determine what we speak about. So you can pick up the telephone and give us a call. Any subject matter. We make no rules. We only encourage one another to let's respect callers. That's a democratic society. We have liberalized the telecommunication network. So we have over 30 radio stations have license. Not all of them on the air at the same time. And you have social media. So people have the opportunity to express themselves. Obviously, we encourage tolerance. But you're free. So while I wait for your intervention or your interruption, which is always welcome, I want to remind you that 70% of the children exiting school cannot meet the minimum requirement. 70%. And I'm being extra conservative. How are we going to develop our country if the majority of people exiting the education system cannot meet the minimum requirement? It means that 15 or 20% of the children are meeting that requirement. And maybe that is why we have this mentality that some people believe they're in a particular academic class. We could change that. We cannot find jobs for our people if our people is not prepared. We must not trick our people. The government has been spending about 11% of the GDP on education. So they may be quite satisfied they're doing a good job. A lot of our educators walking around like heavyweight. They're unproductive, but they're giving the impression they're doing a good job. And some parents seem to have a sense of resignation that they cannot make blood out of stone. Now, your child attend primary school and secondary school for 13 and a half years. And after 13 and a half years in school, 70% of the children cannot meet the minimum requirement. There are university opportunities that our children can take because they don't have the minimum requirement. And you have all kinds of skullduggery going on at the higher echelons of society, making excuses. They are not productive. And instead of increasing the productivity, they want to justify their laziness and unproductive approach towards education. You hear people say your child is not academically inclined. And I say to you, anytime an educator tells you that, ask them to put it in writing. So you could take their signature and ask who give them this training, where they were qualified to determine that your child are not academically inclined. That is some of the sophisticated words they use today. In yesteryear, they tell you your child don't, or your child cannot learn. It means the same thing, but they use more sophisticated language now. I believe we could change that overnight. And change does take time. But in 5 to 10 years, we can seriously change that if we change our attitude. Don't depend on the government to do it. Government sometimes is a bit lazy and they cannot rock the boat. I'm not impressed with the Minister of Education. I don't think he could help in that situation. He's going to just maintain the status quo and do everything within his power not to unruffled feathers. The government already shown its colors. The government is a bully, a vulture. They prey on the weak. That's one of the reasons they so heartily attack the elderly, the physically challenged, and disadvantaged children. They would not take on the intelligentsia. The educators are powerful, so the government would not take them on. You would give me a call. Remember, the number to call is 442-0175, and you could speak on any subject matter. The education system is not going away, and we are not backing away from it. We are committed to speak about it till we are able to change one or two people. Over 200 years now, among academia, they knows that using music in school could help. Yes, caller, welcome.
Morning, Mr. Hogan. My friend, good morning. You are speaking the truth. Mr. Pierre.
Yes, thank you.
Miss David here. You are speaking the truth. The truth is the truth, and that's why all time love you. Have a good evening, Mr. Pierre.
Thank you very much.
Bye, Miss David here.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Thank you, caller. We cannot run away from the truth. We cannot hide. We must learn to face it. If you're an educator and you disagree with me, say that. I have done my research, but I'm no scientist. And no one of reputable organization and nobody from academia going to accept my research. My research is to give me the courage of my conviction. And I say to people, do research in your own communities. You are not doing research to do a scientific paper. You're doing research to have the courage of your own conviction. So start to pay attention to the children that go to school. Find out in your communities how many males leave school with the basic requirement. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hey, after Mr.
Yes,
Pierre.
my brother.
How everything? How was the weekend?
Great, man. It was good.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre. Mr. Pierre, and this is celebrating 1 year anniversary. And Mr. Pierre, one of the greatest achievements was to lie for the Ghanaian people. Lie to the Ghanaian people and tell them they're going to make them permanent. They're going to make them permanent. And also, they lie to them and say to them that they will fire you. Right? Because what the government doing, the federal government doing, they keep you on contract. So then they don't want to give permanence, so then when they keep on contract, they go fire at will. But while they were saying that, the government at the time was making people permanent, it was not firing anyone. they will not find anyone. And even again, Mr. Pierre, they say to the Ghanaian people, trust them. They gonna make a life. They gonna they gonna stamp out poverty. They gonna make your life gonna be better. And many more lives that was promised to the Ghanaian people. And what did they did? Everything that they said they're going to do, they turn it around and they're doing the opposite. I'm saying when you look at the situation right now in the country, it is people's life is getting more difficult for people to cope, especially single parents. And even more in the home where they have fathers and mothers, the things is hard.
When you say the NDC, the things that they did most was lies, give us some of the lies that they told.
Okay, yeah, that's what I did. That's what I doing. One of the lies, permanent. They say to the Ghanaian people, they go make them permanent. Vote for me. Everyone who on contract will be made permanent.
Next one
is say again to the Ghanaian people, trust me. What the government is doing is illegal. That because of the contract. And they also said again, Mr. Pierre again, the World Bank state that the 350 and the 450 that the government giving them the seed money is not sufficient. They go to raise it to 650. And what they did is instead of bring to 650, they cut out of it again. Again, the last one concern the security workers. They said to the security workers who was working, they go put all the securities under national security. I'm saying that was a lie. What the plan was to do is to get rid of the security contract, who they tell themselves had a contract and have a contract that was not supporting, just to give the people work. They three. They said again, Mr. Pierre, they go eradicate poverty. What happened, Mr. Pierre? They making the life of Ghanaian people more in poverty, because if people working, you don't employ nobody, right? And those who are working single parents, you're getting rid of them, sending them home. I said, just put in your people. Mr. Pierre, so we'll check it. I didn't mention about food. Look at what I mentioned. Is anything that materializes what they say they're going to do? So you see now they achieve what they want to, what they were saying. To what they will do, but they know definitely what they were saying or not the truth. So they achieve that and they win the election. And instead of they change the attitude, they still continue to lie. But Mr. Pierre, I want to say, when outside they go say go do that. But when they come in and you do not promise what you said they're going to do, how will people believe you? Again, with more lies again. So I don't believe one of the fundamental is problem with the government, and what if the government succeed, what you said, you should, not everything, but some of the things, you should fulfill it. People of the country should have trust in you. And when people don't trust you, it will be difficult for them to believe what you say. So they may say something in minute, but when you're lying to them, they would believe anything you say, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, Scholar, thank you. Scholar, to some extent, I have to agree with you. I did not expect much from the National Democratic Congress because historically, they are not very supportive of social safety net program. It's not a political party that helps the working class. And they have always historically to be hostile against elderly, physically challenged. So I was not surprised. But I agree with you. The National Democratic Congress said in very clear terms, there is no need for a parallel public service. As soon as we get in power, we're going to get rid of the parallel public service in Grenada. The Prime Minister said it is illegal. It is lawless. It was clear. And people genuinely believe that the government had intention of making workers permanent. The Prime Minister used the statistics of the World Bank to assure people that they're going to move them to 600, 650. And he gave the assurance as soon as he gets there, he's going to do that. And what they did was to remove 150. Although in the month of December, they reinsure the individuals. They give them the confidence that they're going to continue getting the 150 in January without notice. And I call it violent removal. Because one or two people, some people shed tears in the public because they was not notified. The government apologized to the Imani prior to the election and said that the last time we did you wrong, we made a political mistake. We will make you permanent. And then in December, they had meetings with the Imani and informed them that in January, some of them will have to go. From then, they have not taken action yet. The workers on Grand Bazaar Estate, the minister and the permanent secretary visit these people. They complimented them for being good workers and being productive. They ensure them that the Grand Bazaar Estate was targeted, was identified, or is ideal for planting weed. The workers was on a high. They believe they will be involved in the government weed program. And then without warning, the government fired 30 workers. The workers involved with the Source Up Industry Pest Management Unit, they had a shock because they couldn't believe they too were targeted to send home. Irrespective of the assurances that the government provided, government refused to meet the individuals involved in Source Up export. They refused to meet them up to today. The workers in marketing board, the government closed it down on fire. So I agree with your color. But you must remember, there are some people that are very satisfied. They're very happy. They're very comfortable with the NDC. Because these people claim the previous government was giving handout. And these people set themselves above. And they always hostile to people in the lower income group. So they are happy. People got a tax break. Imagine you owe government $1 million in tax and you get a tax break. That is practically orgasmic. You must like the government. Close associates of the government, close associates of the ministers and government. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. All right. Well, yes, you're there, callers. Punch.
Mr. Pierre.
Go right ahead.
Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
Good morning, brother.
Yeah, my brother.
Good evening, brother. Listen to me now. You said the Prime Minister say you give people $600 a month?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Mr. Pierre, that is a lie. The Prime Minister never said that. The Prime Minister never said that. That is a lie. Mr. Pierre, the Prime Minister says that he will be giving those people 500 persons $350 more a month. There are 600 persons, 500 persons that the NMP leave to eat the murder on the ground. They can't pay their bill, they can't do nothing. Before NMP give them a $300, what they do? They take 150 and they put on who have already. So I fully support the minister giving 600 more people $300. You can have who have already getting more and who don't have don't getting nothing. So, Mr. Pierre, I believe that is one of the best things the Prime Minister ever do. Give those who don't have, give them a $300, let them go get something to eat. And who have already, don't give them nothing. Mr. Pierre, you have a good day.
Yes, Scholar, thank you. And that is why I said some members of the National Democratic Congress will be well satisfied with the government. Because the government removed $150 from the elderly. And the government refused to give them the $600 that the government promised. The Minister of Labor, she had a good laugh when she announced that they would not get paid. They would not be paid. She feel happy. So a lot of members of the National Democratic Congress is very happy. They're very comfortable when people in the lower income group are disadvantaged. And that is the history of the National Democratic Congress. When some people in this country is disadvantaged, a lot of NDC is happy. And you're going to hear them chain on the government. They're doing a good job because the government is hostile to people in the lower income group. We saw our friend Willie calling them the good people. He said the fellas on RealFM just making noise, man. Ignore them. We saw the Minister of Foreign Affairs referring to the good people. We saw the Minister of Agriculture, lunatics and idiots. You heard the Minister of Labor laughing. Even agents of the National Democratic Congress that is sponsored and funded by our local bank is referring to people as nasty people. Difficult for me to understand why a local bank would propagate these agents of restorative justice to be so dismissive and disrespectful and seems to be enjoying the suffering of our people. But that is not unusual in Grenada, you know. Remember the struggles we went to in the days of Eric Gary? Eric Gary defied the odds, you know. The British sent 2 battleships in Grenada when Gary was fighting for $1 a day. $1 a day. And the British were prepared to send 2 battleships to quell the struggles. But Gary won. I think he get $1.25 a day. So we always have Grenadians fighting down Grenadians. And I believe that some of us have to speak on the side of the marginalized. Don't expect the individuals with a briefcase or certificate to be concerned. And that is why I speak about the children who exit school, and 70% of them cannot meet the minimum requirements. Our educators should shed a tear. But they seem to be comfortable with it. They seem to be very comfortable because they don't care about the majority of people who fall in the lower income group. Black Wizard said, inside NDC is NNP. You have some individuals who believe that they're not vulnerable. They believe they're not in the lower income group. And that is why I like to inform them. If your income is less than $3,000 a month, economically, you're vulnerable. By the government's own standard, You are vulnerable. This is why government would not charge you tax. I would not surprise if this government dropped the tax threshold. So whether you're working in Hubbards or Huggins or Coates or Steel or SGU or government, it doesn't matter which company you work with in Grenada. If your income is less than $3,000 a month, you economically vulnerable. And according to Black Wizard, if you are a supporter of NDC, he say inside NDC is NNP. That is the yardstick Black Wizard was using. He was using your economic vulnerability to tell you that the NDC as a political party is counterproductive to people in your income bracket. The NDC as a party doesn't seek your interests. But maybe you're still there because you don't know the history. You don't understand the policies. That is why I advocate your children is going to get shaft. I look at the new change in system now. The new change in the government system where education is concerned, where the children that moving from primary school to go to secondary school. And I'm extremely suspicious of it. When you have a political party that decide to entrench restorative justice, you ought to be suspicious because they can use the very program to disadvantage your children. And that is why I call on women of this country. You know, Jesus Christ said, "Women of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but for yourself and your children." So I say, women of Grenada, pay attention to your children in school. You are the ones to make the change, the women. Sometimes people say, why are you picking on women? I say, yes, I'm picking on women. Because based upon the statistics, and you don't have to believe me, you know, you can go and ask the czars in NDC. 60% of the household in Grenada are led by women. 60%. So if 60% of the household are led by women, it already means that women in charge is in the majority. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Hey, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, you know, I don't like to call when people speak after it, but sometimes I do want to try to analyze something, okay? The caller said that, the Prime Minister said that, okay, like, who have, he take it from who have, and to give who don't have, okay? But what about what are you doing with...
But caller, you know that is misleading because the Prime Minister take $2,000, exactly. He want 5,000 or 6,000 for ministers. Based upon the word on the ground, he wants his salary reach to about 35,000. The Prime Minister is selling passport, which is unethical, which is corrupt. Yeah. Because so you know this is not true.
This is true. I go to look at something again. You're asking the poor, everybody pay tax, okay? But you're raising up the cost of food stuff higher and higher every day.
Why do you think the Prime Minister raised the price of sugar and dropped the price of condom?
You understand who is in condom?
Because who is affected most? And the businessman not dropping no condom price?
Simple. Exactly. I mean, but what happened again? You still telling the businessman to keep the money that they call again.
What is the law they pass on hairdressers and other areas?
Exactly.
That law directly affects the cottage industry, the people in confectionaries, the people a plaiting here and hairdressing and nail, etc. It directly affects small business.
They were going on to pay. So then when scholars say about terms that's taken from who have and give.
I like a small talk, man.
They want to take something.
You don't waste time, brother.
You know, so that when people try to defend, is it defense?
You don't waste time, man.
I don't make no sense.
You better just come and say the areas, you know.
You see, that's something. That don't make no sense. That don't make no money.
The government actions is not conducive to the growth of small businesses. The government action is counterproductive to the people in the confectionery industry. You go to the supermarkets and the shops today, and the government action doesn't encourage people to make sugar cake, cheap, fudge, tamban ball, because sugar price increases. But at the same time, the snacks, the imported snacks, is all over the shop. And they have nice, colorful packages. And they're sweet, and the children go to them. Whereas the parents now, because of the rise in price of sugar, cannot compete with the snacks on the side. The Prime Minister and the government dropped the price of condom. That savings would not pass to the consumer. And not to say we have a boom with children is concerned. Grady are not making children. The Prime Minister should be encouraging people to make children. But he don't drop the price on pregnancy tests. He dropped the price on condom. Pregnancy tests selling as bread in the shop. So he ain't dropped that price. So definitely the government policy is counterproductive to small businesses in the country. I mean, come on. There's no rocket science there. But I don't expect the National Democratic Congress to do different. Every time they come in power, they do the same thing. When you put pressure on them, they panic. Like when they cut down Belvedere, nutmeg, and plant banana. And they plow up the whole the lake in River and Twine, and plant banana for Salisbury. And when they get rid of peace in the market, they do this thing. Look at what they did with marketing board. No plan, no vision. None of the ministers could tell you what is the end game. They're whooping. You close down marketing board, fire some workers, open marketing board, you confuse. The Ministry of Agriculture refused to meet the traders involved in exporting soursop. Grenada is the only country, I believe, in the region that can export fresh soursop to the U.S. market. One of the competitors knocking on the door is Mexico. And anytime Mexico come in, Coco Jena pie. But you would expect that the government would have met the soursop exporters. What the government did was to sabotage the soursop industry by firing the people involved in the Croton scale pest. The government is contributing to the spread of the Croton scale pest. In Paraclete now, I see it in Milan. I see it on flowers in the Croton in Paraclete. Because for the longest while, the people who was involved in pest control was home. When you have this disease or this pest start to spread like wildfire, you are endangering the soursop industry. Where they get this government? That is why I ask, who sent Dick Mitchell? I asked this question from day one. Who sent him? Because in my research throughout the OECS and the Caribbean, I have never heard a leader of a political party in the Caribbean being sold as having deep pockets and contacts. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre,
Yes, caller, welcome.
we're speaking about the marketing board.
Go right ahead.
Mr. Pierre, today, the marketing board have a $3,000 surplus. That means that after they pay the farmers and they take out the money for the workers, they have $200,000 surplus. So that is one of the best things the government ever do. And what I understand they will be doing when they restructure it, they will be bringing agro processing in a big way. They will be bringing cold storage, refrigeration in a big way. So when all you have all your wet food and everything, they'll be able to store it for you for the next 200 years. You will be storing there as long as you want it. You'll be there storing for you. So when you're saying this kind of nonsense about the whooping, yeah, nobody whoop as the NMP. They whoop until they create a $15 million bankruptcy fund for the NIB. That is what they did for 9 years and 2 months. That is what they do. So when you talk about whooping, NIB, they didn't know what they're doing. All they're doing is that they know every day and they're pumping money in it, costing the taxpayers $15 million. I don't know what they do with the money. The ministers and but I don't know what they do with the money. $15 million in excess money for the marketing board. This is the best thing that ever happened to the marketing board. What they do. And I believe when that finishes, that will bring greater benefit to the population of Grenada. Mr. Pierre, you have a good day.
Thank you, caller. I wish you could speak to the Minister of Education. And normally I don't take much issue with this issue. I more deal with the broad policies of government. Because I did not expect much from the NDC. I told you NDC have the worst track record in Grenada in the last 8 decades where agriculture is concerned. The worst track record. Yes, caller, welcome.
Afternoon, Mr.
Yes,
Pierre.
welcome.
Mr. Pierre, they have 2 political parties in Grenada, the NDC and the NNP. And according to you, when you look at the philosophy of both parties, you know, you could compare and contrast. The New National Party is the party that all strata of the population benefits from the NNP. The well-off, those able to meet their living commitments, those under the breadline, those who need a little hand up, and even the youth and the elderly in this country. And we have seen the track record of the New National Party. So we could go back and look at it and make the analysis, everyone in Grenada. And when you look at the situation that existed under the NDC, as you quietly said, you talk about agriculture, but then you talk about the retrenchment and you talk about the sale of assets to pay salary, especially in the 2008, and the retrenchment program in what it is, 1986, thereabout. So when you look at it, compare and contrast the 2 political parties. So I continue to tell the New National Party, continue educating the people and to understand the policies. Where the guy is talking or whoever talking. In 2014, there was the Fiscal Responsibility Act laid down to when you look at the 70% of the dollar earned in 2008 to 12 and 30% for capital projects. That 70% was for recurrent expenditure, wage and salary. And in 2014, the new National Party went down and came up with the Fiscal Responsibility Act. And there was this oversight committee, the same Richard Duncan who advising the Prime Minister now, I believe. He was the chairman of that oversight committee, or he was on that committee. So when you look at the situation now, what is taking place? Look at the youth. Look at the elderly, as you correctly talk about. Look, especially the young people. Look in around the country. Look at what happened not too long in Grenans. Look what happened in St. Patrick's East. You know, it called for concern. Many people calling on leaders in the community to come together and see how they could help these young people and the single mothers. Most of them are single mothers, single parents, and if you look at the situation there, there is a need for national security to look at the strategies and come up with solutions in conflict resolution, more money for the police, etc., and see how we could foster and how we could help settle that crime situation in this country. It's terrible. And just now when people wouldn't want to walk the road, whether day or night, because living in fear, you don't want Grenada come that level. So I ask our people to reach out and educate the nation about the NDC and the NNP and the work of the NNP, so they will understand. Mr. Pierre, have a good evening.
Yes, I believe we must know our history. I don't waste time with much history in school, I like family history. I like village history. If you want to get involved in politics, I want to deeply support a political party, you must know the history of the political party. Because all political parties are good. But all political parties are not good for everybody. So if you're supporting a political party that go after the elderly, the physically challenged, disadvantaged children, and the majority of your own people fall in that group, then that political party is counterproductive towards you. You cannot have a political party every time they come in power. They're doing the same thing. What did the NDC do in 2008? They told lies to the Imani. They told them we're going to raise your pay to $1,000. They did not do that. They disbanded the Imani program, make a program with a long name, and employ less than half of the people. What did the NNP did when they come? They bring back the new Imani and employ over 3,000 persons, one lash. The NDC apologized to this group. Say we make a political mistake. And now these people don't know if Ash Wednesday is Good Friday. They're worried now that they're going to lose their job. And the National Democratic Congress cannot offer publicly, cannot say clearly what they're going to do with the Imani that day. What did the NDC offer in 2008 to the elderly people? They're going to raise their pay to $400. What did they do? They fired the majority of them from the program, including 5 women from Paraclete. 2 is still alive. 1 is over 100. And you notice it doesn't speak about men. Only women. What did the NDC offer? No. They say we're going to raise it to 600. They use the statistics and information of the World Bank to certify the proposal, what did they do? They remove $150 on the program. Now, if that is not being bad-minded, tell me what it is. Just before Christmas, the line minister set up the elderly people. She reassured them. She set them up. And when January come, without any warning, that is why I use the word, they violently remove the money. Without any warning. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre, good day.
Yes, scholar, welcome.
Yeah, Josh.
Yes, my brother.
I'll pay you and you too, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, Mr. Pierre is a genius, you know. Because I know you the first man detect the Prime Minister as a fake. You the first man, I don't know how he speak, and all the detectors and declare that and the guy was everybody was boasting about speech all the time, the man was using artificial intelligence all the time and never knew that all the time. So when you all you say certain things he say, and then you see you come back and say now the same 60 or more, the people deserve 60 or more. Because not you more. And in the end, you take out the liquor they get in. You take out from the liquor they get in. The same thing with Haiti.
Look at what they did with Haiti.
Yeah. What if you come, you play the cards, and when people come, you say that you don't give them a hearing, you just for them one time.
Look at what he's doing, job.
Yeah. So there's several things, but just come and just make a post in it. You look at it from the suspension of that. I see what not that up to now. So all them things you say, when you clear that the man is a, no people start seeing all you saying.
Man is a fake.
I say, boy, you good, man. To detect that so early. You good.
Well, you see, I always express my opinion in politician. And because he was new, and he never was in politics or networking or advocating before, I say I cannot put an opinion, but I studied him.
Right.
And then I realized he's a fake.
I know a lot of people could be there. Some people can't be. Because I was talking to a guy, and he said, when he said, he said, you know, we're activists are them, and when he mentioned Master Carl and Igwe, I said, what? I said, surprised. I said, what? I said, you probably, but you know, get someone like me. So that's them Master Carl, and at least they rescue one. They rescue one from the pit. So take him up there.
Yes, scholar. That is why a lot of strong NDC members, they're hiding. They cannot stand up and exchange ideas and argue. So as soon as they open their mouth, they're calling you all kind of thing. The most dismissive names. Imagine a motivational speaker employed by government or government satellites and organization to go around and educate people about the service industry, sponsored by the bank, is calling over 1/3 of the population nasty people. How in God's name? The top echelons of the bank could use a creature like that? I mean, if you is a company, you might say, well, the company don't like poor people much. But you are the bank. We can ask people to leave the bank. You know, a bank in Grenada, I said a partner of mine tell me 2.25. So it's not to say the bank know they have a monopoly. So the bank start to shaft the disadvantage in the country. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, my sister, welcome.
I want to read a scripture verse here.
Go right ahead, man.
The verse, 1 John chapter 3, verse 15 says, "Whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer, and ye know that no murderer has had eternal life abiding in him." All those who are the man and all of them what calling and defending not me what call them so they tell them the word of God style them murderers.
You see, we have to be concerned about the policies of a political party that is hostile to the weak in our country. You have an organization in Grenada called GSPCA. The ones they used to call the RAL. That is the organization that helps to protect animals. Strong organization in the world, you know. They're trying to protect animals. But if we as a people are hostile to the elderly, the physically challenged, and disadvantaged children in our country, what is going to happen to us? Listen to the president of the Teachers Union. What happened if a child crossed this man's path? Go back to Mayday, ask somebody to help you, and listen to the president of the Teachers Union. Get on. Listen to my brother Willie when he was talking about the good people. Listen to the bank sponsor a motivational speaker. The bank, you know, the local bank, they sponsor the individual. Only pus that come from his mouth, you know. He's a bitter individual, you know, full of bitterness and hate and anger. The bank sponsor him. If it is a private organization, I would have said, well, Papa, oh, this is extreme views. How could you tolerate this level of extreme views in a country? You ought not to. You shouldn't. You sowing the seed of discord. You fracture in our society. And the NDC as a party, I appeal to the moderates in the party. These people seems to be extra militant. They come like ISIS. They're advocating bitterness and anger and hate. How could you find a motivational speaker used by government or government satellite organization to go out and lecture to individuals, calling a significant percentage of the public nasty people? How does the foreign minister, a man that you should be well endowed with diplomatic language, calling a group of people good people? The Minister of Agriculture, lunatics and idiots, and you want to jail them, you know. Although the police said that crime, their larceny crime, is down by 3%. 3%. It should be the concern of the minister that how much people involved there are drug addicts. How much of them are unemployed? How much of them was in prison and they have a terminology for that. They come from prison but they're returning. They have a terminology for that. Instead of the minister concerned about that, he call them lunatics and idiots. You have a government come in power and almost 3,000 or more people lost their job. And when people lose their job, the hardline NDC, no compassion, don't know how to empathize. They say that they're going to pound stone in the river. What's going to happen to our society when these things become entrenched in the villages and in the community? One of my callers said that the children that getting the money, they're not going to school anyway, so take it from them. Where NDC get this harshness? But it was building up over a period of time. You remember one of the NDC directors They said the church sucking the anus of a political party. These people was applauded and rewarded for the hardline, bitter, and hateful statements in the public domain. So I ask, where are the moderates in NDC? And I ask, who sent the Prime Minister of Grenada? Because I'm not convinced that he come to help Grenadians. So I don't know if he comes with a particular agenda. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre,
Yes, caller, welcome.
I want to congratulate you for trying to lie on people. Listen to me now. See baby Jesus? Baby Jesus is the master grader now. Let that kid. No, you can touch that guy. That guy is the best. Yeah, I put in anyone all you to match him and all you do to this guy. You listen to the guy over the weekend? Mr. Pierre, you listen?
No, caller, I didn't listen.
Well, you don't listen to him and you're talking. You must listen to that guy, man. That guy putting all you on your place. That kid, none of you. MP, none of you can't touch that guy.
Yes,
that guy
caller.
is the...
Yes, caller, I judge him. Caller, a lot of Grenadians like Dick Mitchell. And nothing's wrong with that. But he does not represent the interests of the marginalized in Grenada. If you are a businessman, and as a result of Dickens' policy, you save $1 million, you must like Dickens. If as a result of Dickens' policy, you were able to sell passport as a minister, you were able to sell passport as another big diplomat, then you must like Dickens. If as a minister or close associate of the NDC, you flying all over the world and you're not conservative in your spending, you must like Dickens. So there's a lot of people in Grenada and they have a right to like and applaud Dickens. But the people in the lower income group, Dickens' policy is hostile towards them. If you are somebody who making confectionaries, when I say it, I mean sugar cake and tart, dog teeth, fudge, snow ice, tambourine ball, you wouldn't. Dickens' policy is against you. If you're a hairdresser, a barber, a masseuse, Dickens' policy is against you. Caller, if you're working on Grand Bazaar Estate, Dickens' policy is against you. If you're a farmer growing soursop, Dickens' policy is against you. So there are some people in Grenada that have a right to applaud and encourage Dickens to remain there. Because Dickens has opened up the coffers of government for some people's supermarket. So I don't blame you, caller. I'm only crying out because the marginalized, the physically challenged, and disadvantaged children is on the receiving end. And I look forward to your exchanges. We're back with you again tomorrow between 12 and 1 for another opportunity to punch.